to stop any legal challenges that Alberta might face over its contentious laws affecting transgender young people in the province. Bennett Jensen is standing by, legal director for Egale Canada, an organization that advocates for the LGBTQ community. Thanks for taking the time, Jensen. Appreciate this.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so first of all, the laws on the books, we know that they are controversial. Let's talk about Alberta invoking the notwithstanding clause. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that it's a disgrace, frankly. I think that the government has long said that it intended to lead evidence to justify these policy decisions that it had enacted last year. We have challenged them. So far, we've been successful. We obtained an an injunction on the basis of extensive evidence last June, blocking the ban on healthcare from coming into effect. And I think all Canadians should be concerned when a government uses the notwithstanding clause to limit access to healthcare, and that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, and just to emphasize for people at home who may or may not be aware, I mean, these are a trio of laws passed over a year ago that affects gender diverse youth, healthcare, schools, as you know, sports, advocacy groups, and whatnot. The Premier has said, Jensen, as you know, that this is all about protecting children. Your reaction to that?
Well, that's deeply misleading. What she has also said that it's about prioritizing the rights of parents. What we're talking about in the healthcare context is parents being denied the ability to choose what medical care is appropriate for their children. So it is, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can take the court's word for it. As I said, a court found on the basis of evidence that the government's legislation would cause irreparable harm to children. So if the government was interested in protecting children, they would be listening to the experts and listening to the courts.
Using the notwithstanding clause twice in the space of a month is certainly an interesting move. What do you think the lasting impact will be, though, on gender diverse young people in Alberta?
I mean, I think that the impact for all of us may be huge, because I think that the government, as I said, is moving in a direction of increased comfort, limiting rights of all sorts of aspects of the population. But for gender diverse youth, what we're seeing is the government doubling, tripling down on laws that attack them. And they're now 2 years into living in a province where the most powerful political leaders have undermined their humanity at every turn through misinformation, through limiting their rights to participate fully in society. And it's devastating. It's simply devastating to live in a society where the Premier and the ruling government are telling you that who you are is not okay. That is devastating. And I think that is far from what we as Canadians want for young people growing up in this country. I think we want a country where all people are welcome and all young people are able to live and grow as they are, and that's what's being denied here.
Yeah, one last question just quickly to clarify for people at home who are not familiar. By doing this with the notwithstanding clause, it basically means the government cannot be sued. Is that correct in a court of law, or how does that play out?
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than that. And the Supreme Court is actually hearing 2 cases in the new year that will offer some more clarity. I know the government is taking the position that its use of the notwithstanding clause means that the court challenges come to an end. We disagree. As we saw with the teachers, the Alberta Teachers Association launched a legal challenge in response to the use of the notwithstanding clause. So there are a number of live arguments, and governments can't simply, remove the role of courts in our constitutional democracy. That's not how it works. So the court cases are far from over.
Bennett Jensen joining me from Ottawa, legal director with Egale Canada, which of course advocates for the LGBTQ community in our country. Good to have you with us, Bennett. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.